Good morning, folks. I'm going to make a video today about my tour app. It's a self-guided tour app. Only costs $4.99. You get 30 stops, and they're all pretty much secret spots. They're spots that tour companies aren't allowed to take you to because they're either state parks or beach parks that they won't give permits for tour companies to go to. So let's check it out. I don't know if this is true for all phones, but for my phone, so the app is available both on Android and iPhone. I'm using an Android, and for my phone, in order for the voice to text to come out, I have to turn off the Wi-Fi, so I'm going to do that first. And then it uses GPS, so we also need to turn on the GPS. So I recommend that you do that before starting the app. So here's the app, the Out of Bounds Tour. So you can download that from the Android store or the iPhone store. It's only $4.99. Or you can go to my webpage, customislandtours.net, and then click on apps. And there will be more information about the app there, and you can click the links from there to get to the stores to download it from. So here it is, the Out of Bounds Tour. So you're going to scroll down to the red button here that says tap here to get started. Here's the tour description, but it's the big orange button here that you want to start with. So tap here to get started. So that brings up there are two ways you can look at it, either by the list. So this has all of the stops that you're going to do. And by the way, you can download this like the night before if you want to go through it, because there are a lot of stops on here. There's actually more stops than you could probably do in one day if you actually stopped at the mall and actually did the activities that are there. There's also a map view, and so the tour is laid out in order, sequential order that makes sense, going around the island counterclockwise, starting on the east side when it's still sunny, because it clouds up on the east side in the late afternoon. So starting on the east side with the stops here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can click on this and you can go straight to a stop. You can skip stops. You can skip around, but it is laid out for you in a sequential order that makes sense. So go back to list. So the first thing is the instructions, and so it has the text here for you to read, but it also has voice to text. So you can press play.
Need to turn on your GPS for the app to guide you to the destinations. If you can't hear the narrations or GPS directions, you may need to turn off the Bluetooth on your phone. From the front page, press the tap here to get started button to get to the list. Click on the item in the list to get to the text start GPS directions and play narration. Click on directions and this will bring up Google Maps to guide you to the destination. Once you reach your destination, you can press the play button to start the narration, and the text will be there as well for you to read along if you wish. Once you are finished at the stop, press the next button to pull up your next stop. Press directions to pull up the Google Maps to guide you to the next stop. Then press play to hear the narration. Repeat these steps for the rest of the tour. Directions, play, next.
Okay, so we're going to hit next. And so this is the first stop, which is going to be the Hawaii Kai Lookout. So it has the text there that you can read once you get there, and you can press play for it to speak it out for you, so you don't have to read it if you don't want. So the first thing you're going to do, so the buttons are laid out here on the bottom in the order that you're going to want to do these things. So each time you're going to hit directions to pull up the Google Maps. Once you get to the destination, you're going to hit play in order to listen to the narration about the stop, and then you'll hit next in order for it to bring up the next stop. So we're going to hit directions, and that'll bring up Google Maps. And so that maps us out to the first stop, which is 22 minutes away according to this. So we'll hit start.
Head southeast on Kalakaua Avenue toward Liliuokalani Avenue.
All right, let's go.
In a quarter mile, slight left onto Montserrat Avenue.
There's a couple of different ways out of Waikiki. This one's taking me past the zoo. Depending on where you start in Waikiki,
Make a slight left onto Montserrat Avenue.
it might point you in different directions depending on where you are in Waikiki when you start.
Continue for 1 mile.
This route here takes you past, this is the zoo on the left. The aquarium is over to the right. Diamond Head is in front of us. Over here on the weekends they have art on the wall on the fence. I think that's on Saturdays or Sundays. And then this is going to take us past KCC, the Kapiolani Community College. Saturday mornings from about 7:30 to 11, they have a farmer's market, which has gotten really popular, especially with the Japanese tourists.
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Makapu'u Avenue. Take the next left onto Makapu'u Avenue.
So right up here in front of us, on the left side of the road, this is the college, Kapiolani Community College, KCC. And it's just, if you were to go forward and take a left into the next driveway, that's where that farmer's market is on Saturday mornings. Also, you can go this way and take a right
In a
into the
quarter
parking
mile,
lot
turn
here.
right onto Kilauea Avenue.
Or there's extra parking to the left over here behind the theater. So the Diamond Head Theater, it's just intermission. So I actually went to this college here. This is where I got my Associates of Arts and then started my Associates of Science. I was going for a BED, a Bachelor of Education. I was going to become a high school science teacher, but started my tour company.
Take the next right onto Kilauea Avenue, then turn left onto 16th Avenue.
Oh, this is going to be a great view right here. Oh, and over turning on 16th. Okay, we'll still get to see a little bit of the view here.
Turn 16th Avenue.
This is getting us to the freeway.
Continue on 16th Avenue for half a mile.
That's the weird thing about Google Maps is it tries to pick for you like the most direct way. This is not the way that I would have gone, but it'll get you there. So. So the reason I made this app, full disclosure, I own a tour company. It's called Custom Island Tours, LLC.
Use the left lane to take the Interstate H1 East ramp, then merge onto Interstate H1 East.
And the idea when I started the tour company was I was going to use my local knowledge to be able to take tourists to all of these kind of secret spots that I've learned over my years of living here. I've lived here a total
for 6 miles.
Total of about 20 years. So I lived here for 7 years while I was in the military, and during that time I did a lot of exploring and surfing, and so got a lot of local knowledge from that. And then I moved back when I retired from the military in December of 2006. But as I started the tour company and started giving tours, I learned that there were certain places you would think that, because what I do for my tour company is we do private tours, and the idea is that it's customized, so the customer can say where they'd like to stop and where they don't want to stop, so it's customized to the customer. But as it turns out, there are certain places where tour companies can't go. A tour company is considered a commercial activity, and there are certain places where commercial activities are not allowed. And as I was doing this, I kind of learned. I mean, it's not like when you start a tour company, they hand you a list saying you can't go here and here and here. So you kind of learn a lot of things as you go. That you try to go to certain places, and then somebody will say, "Hey, you can't come here. You have to have a permit." Or you go to get the permit, and then you find out that. To
learn to pronounce the Hawaiian words, the trick is the pronunciation of the vowels. You need to enunciate the vowels just as you would a consonant. The vowels are pronounced as they would be in Spanish. A is pronounced A, like hurrah. B is pronounced A, like ole. I is pronounced E, like Waikiki. O is pronounced O, like do. U is pronounced U, like you. To make an I sound, they combine an A and an I so that it's like oi, but said really fast, it sounds like an I sound. You'll see this in the first part of Waikiki, where W. A, I is the Hawaiian word for fresh water and is pronounced Y. The next trick is to pay attention separate vowel combinations like a, I, so that instead of sounding like an I, it becomes a-e. You can practice reading the street signs on the way to the first stop, however the street signs do not include the diphthong, so you need to imagine separating the vowels if you see two together, otherwise just pronounce the vowels like you would in Spanish, a, e, o, u.
Alright, so yeah, that was a part of the app there that teaches you how to pronounce the Hawaiian words, because you're going to see these on the street signs and things, and the big difference in pronouncing the Hawaiian words is the vowels. Famously, the Hawaiian language doesn't have all 26 of the letters that we have in our alphabet. They only have about 12 or 13. But the big difference in the pronunciation is the vowels. And so the vowels are pronounced like they would be in Spanish. That's a little helpful thing that I've figured out on my own. I took Spanish. I'm from South Texas, so I already knew a little bit of Spanish, but I took Spanish in college, and then I realized when they were teaching us, how to pronounce the vowels in Spanish, that's how you pronounce them in Hawaiian too. So an A is pronounced ah, an E is pronounced A. Like the E at the end of ole. So, like if you had a word that started with a H-E, that would be hey. An I is always pronounced E, like as in Waikiki. And if you wanted to make an I sound, you combine an A and an I, and so you'll see that in the beginning of Waikiki, where it's W-A-I, so that's Y, which is the Hawaiian word for water. So yeah, the app has that ability to, using the GPS points, it can give you narrations. There are times when before you get to your stop, it'll come on and it'll give you a little bit of information about what's coming up, give you a heads up about that you're going to be turning into a place and where to park and things like that. So yeah, back to what I was saying about the places that tour companies aren't allowed to go to. So, as I was doing it, I kind of learned, okay, we can't go here and we can't go here. And also that there are new laws that they've passed recently. The first one started in the town of Kailua, where there is a really popular beach there called Lanai. And right next to it is Kailua Beach Park. And that Lanai beach had been voted the #1 beach in the U.S. And, it made some top 10 list. And so everybody wanted to go there. And it's kind of at the end of a dead-end road. And there's a neighborhood there. And the people who live in that area were getting upset about how crowded it was getting there. People were parking on the edges of people's yards in order to go down to the beach. And so the people that lived there were getting really upset about how crowded it was. And so they went to their neighborhood board, got their city council member to draft up a law, and it got passed. Which is ironic because Hawaii is famously known for the fact that all of the beaches in Hawaii are accessible to the public. Even beaches that are behind hotels and houses, even military bases have to give you a pass in order to traverse the base, in order to get to the beach. I guess it's kind of a Hawaii thing that, the Hawaiians are, the ocean is a big part of their culture, and so you can't take that away. And so Hawaii is kind of famous for the fact that all of the beaches are open to the public. So it's ironic they would pass a law limiting people from going to certain beaches. So they got that law passed in Kailua that you can't go to Lanai Beach, Kailua Beach Park, and Kalama Beach Park, or any of the coastline in between. A couple of years later, the residents of Waimanalo added their community on to that same law, and their coastline is right adjacent to that. So the combination of those two different laws, which were known as Bill 11 and Bill 8, combination of that made 10 miles of coastline on the east side of the island off limits to all commercial activities. And then, as it turns out, all of the state parks, commercial activities aren't allowed to go there. I've gone to the Department of Land and Natural Resources to see about getting a permit, and the lady just was just like she couldn't believe that I was even asking for a permit. She was like, no. It wouldn't even speak to me almost. But anyway, so yeah. So the list has grown to the point where I've actually had to put the list on my webpage. Because when people were booking our tours through other companies like Expedia and Pleasant Holidays, the agent might tell them, oh, you got to go to this place and this place and this place. And then they would get into the tour van and tell us, oh yeah, I want to go to this place. And it might be like Lanai Beach or Kailua Beach. And it's like, oh, sorry, we can't go there. It's against the law. So as that list got longer and longer, I decided to just take that list, and even though we're not allowed to take you there, I made the app so that you can go there on your own. So you can get a rental car, and then you can use the app to go to all of these places that tour companies can't take you to. And of course, since tour companies can't take you there, they're going to be less crowded stops, kind of hidden away secret stops that tour companies can't go to. So it's a good thing. And so hopefully this app can be used in conjunction with our tours. So it's a good idea to take a tour with the company.
Our first stop will be Hawaii Kai Lookout, the scenic lookout on the left side of the road. Go ahead and pull into the parking area and get out of your car.
So I recommend that you take a tour with the tour company, because the stops that the tour companies are allowed to go to are not included in this app. And then it's a good introduction to the island. Have a tour guide take you around and show
Turn left.
Show you the island, and then maybe the next day rent a car and use the app to go back to all of the places that we weren't allowed to take you to.
Turn left, then you will arrive at your destination.
So this stop we are allowed to take you to, but
You've arrived.
I've included it because this one here is a good introduction into especially how the island was made. So the mountains in front of us, this is going to explain about how they were formed. So on the GPS, I'm going to click Done, and then go back to the screen for the app. I'm going to turn the engine off so we can hear better. And so here is the text that you can read about this spot. This is going to tell you all about it. There is the play button here. You can press play and it can do text to voice for you. There's a little glitch right now I need to get fixed. So if you press play and it doesn't work, just hit either back or forward, and then go back again. So it'll just reload the text.
Our first stop is Hawaii Kai Lookout. You'll want to take photos, but listen to the narration first, and then you'll have a good idea of what you're looking at. The main feature that you see here is a small steep volcanic crater on the right. This is Koko Crater, sometimes mistakenly called Koko Head, which is actually the crater behind you on the other side of the road which forms Hanoma Bay. Koko Crater has a steep trail that leads to the top, and if you look closely you'll probably be able to spot the hikers on the trail. The town down below and to the left of Koko Crater is Hawaii Kai. The main reason for this stop is for you to be able to look back at the mountains so I can explain about how they were formed. This island was formed by two large volcanoes, Lanai and Ko'olau. Lanai, which is not visible from here, was formed 3.5 million years ago, and Ko'olau, which you see before you, was formed 2 million years ago. Note the gradual 30-degree slope of the mountains between the ocean and the top of the mountains. This is the original slope of the volcano. Currently the highest peak of this mountain is about 3,000 feet. Originally this volcano is estimated to have been 8 to 10,000 feet tall, so you can imagine this by continuing the slope of the mountain up and to the right until you reach 8,000 feet, and then imagine that same slope going down and to the right from the top. About 1 million years ago, the volcano fractured and that right half of the volcano fell into the ocean. It slid for about 100 miles to the northeast, and the debris from this slide can still be seen on maps of the ocean floor. So about 2/3 of the volcano is missing. If you follow the gradual slope of the mountain down and to the left toward the ocean, you'll see Diamond Head Crater. It was formed about 300,000 years ago. If you follow the shoreline from where Diamond Head is now along the water's edge to the town down below, imagine that this was the original shoreline of the volcano, without Diamond Head being there, or Koko Crater, or Koko Head Crater. There would have been a reef growing around the edge of the volcano, and when Diamond Head, Koko Crater, and Koko Head Crater were formed, they had to punch up through that existing reef, so you'll notice that the rock that forms them is not so much the black lava you would expect from a volcano, but rather it is full of this reef material, which is mostly calcium. This is where Diamond Head gets its name. It is from the calcite crystals that sailors mistook for diamonds. As you continue up the highway just before the green Hanoma Bay sign, look for the white chunks of coral in the layers of ash at the right side of the road.
Alright, so yeah, I have the GoPro on a tripod, so I didn't take it out of the case in order to show you around, but so on the app, the next thing you would do here is you would hit next, and then hit, so the next stop is the Lanai Lookout. So you'd hit directions to bring up the GPS. And yep, so hit start.
Head southwest toward Hawaii 72.
Whew! Got hot without the air conditioner on. Yeah, you definitely want to bring cold water, suntan lotion, or sunblock, a hat. I recommend that you bring both flip-flops and regular tennis shoes for hiking and stuff, for walking.
Continue on Hawaii 72 for 3/4 of a mile.
Over here to the right is going to be the calcium chunks that it was talking about, where the parts of the reef that got blown up into the layers when this volcano came up. So, and this is the entrance to Hanoma Bay, which is closed right now. The shooting date for this, I believe today is August 5th, and we're still closed down because of the COVID. So that's Hanoma Bay to the right.
Our second stop is Lanai Lookout, which is the scenic lookout on the right side of the road after Hanoma Bay.
It's pretty hazy today. Normally, as you come around this corner here, if you look out to the right, you can see the next islands of Molokai, Lanai, and on a really clear day, you can see Maui. Oh, what's going on here? That's the entrance to the gun range.
In a quarter mile, turn right.
And we're going to this parking lot down here. Oh, they've got it coned off. They must have some kind of construction. So we'll hit done on the GPS, then go back to the screen for the stop. And so here we are at Lanai. Look out, here's the text for you to read. So there is that little glitch that if I press play right now, it might not start. The app is still pretty brand new, and I've got basically no downloads, and it cost me a lot of money to make. So in order to have that fixed, I would have to pay the guy more in order to fix it. So right now, because it gave that voice to text as we were pulling in, giving you the hints about pulling in, it kind of messed up the order. But if you hit, let's try back this time. We'll hit back, and then forward, and then play.
Our second stop is Lanai Lookout. From here, if you look out over the water, you should be able to see the islands of Molokai and Lanai.
So that'll be
this
out
is
here.
A popular place to spot whales during whale season, which runs from December to April. So now if you look out over the water to the horizon and slightly to the left, you should be able to see the island of Molokai. You'll notice that the island looks like it's in two parts. There's a lower part on the right and a higher part on the left. The lower part is the west side of Molokai, and the higher part to the left is the east side of Molokai. Now, if you pan across the water to the right, you should be able to see the island of Lanai. It will look like a little pyramid, and will probably have some clouds over it, so look for the clouds, and then the island will be below the clouds. On an extremely clear day, you can also see the island of Maui from here. To find Maui, look at the island of Molokai again, follow the slope as it runs down to the ocean on the right side. You'll notice that if you look behind that slim part on the right, there will be some clouds behind it. Those clouds are over the island of Maui. Maui is also in two parts. The lower part to the left is West Maui, and the higher part to the right is East Maui, which is the volcano Haleakala, which is almost 10,000 feet tall. Behind us is Koko Crater. For our next stop, we are going to go past the blowhole and sandy beach to get to the botanical garden that is inside of Koko Crater. This will be our first out-of-bounds stop.
Alright, so we'll hit next, and then directions to bring up the GPS, and press start.
Head east toward Hawaii 72.
So yeah, there are some things that I could do to make the app better, but the app came out right before we shut down for the COVID, so basically has, I think it's got like 5 downloads right now. So once it gets more popular, it would be worth spending the money to fix those little glitches, but otherwise it still works right now.
Take the next right onto Hawaii 72. Continue on Hawaii 72 for 1.5 miles.
So the app is only $4.99, $4.99. There is another app out there that is $8. And in researching, before I made this app, I downloaded their app to see how theirs worked. Me and my buddy, and we could not get it to work. It wouldn't even start us out at the first stop. So I don't know. It's got like over 10,000 downloads or something. But so obviously it must have worked for somebody or something. But I could not. Me and my buddy, we tried like 8 times going around in a big circle trying to get it to start us off, and couldn't even get it to start. I mean, it told us to go to a starting point, and we went to that starting point, and then nothing happened. So over here to the right is the blowhole. This is a regular stop for the tours. But since it is a regular stop for the tours, it's not included in the app. And then over here to the right is this sandy beach is called Sandy Beach. Do not go in the water here unless you're an expert. This place is famous for breaking people's necks. It has a really the wave breaks right onto the sand, and it'll throw you into the sand and break your neck. The lifeguards are really good about spotting, who knows what they're doing. I've seen them where tourists have just walked down to the water's edge, and then they get on the bullhorn telling them to get back. Basically, if you don't have fins, the flippers that like the boogie boarders and bodyboarders use.
For our next stop after Sandy Beach, we'll be making a left turn at the stoplight to go to Koko Crater Botanical Gardens, which is inside of Koko Crater.
Then they can recognize that you don't know what you're doing, and they'll yell at you to get away from the water.
Take the next left onto Kealaho Street.
So yeah, we're going to be going inside of Koko Crater. There's a botanical garden in there, and this botanical garden, there are 4 botanical gardens on this island that are maintained by the city and county of Honolulu. And normally you can get a permit in order to go to the city parks, like city beach parks. And my tour company gets that permit. But ironically, on that permit, there is a list of places that...
Continue on Kealaho Street for 3/4 of a mile.
On the permit, there are a list of places that even with that permit, you're not allowed to go to. And that includes 2 of the 4 botanical gardens that are maintained by the city. So it's this one, Koko Crater, and then the one that's in the town of Kaneohe, Ho'omalehua Botanical Gardens, which is really beautiful. Oh man. But tour companies aren't allowed to take you there. The other 2 that tour companies are allowed to take you to is the one in downtown Honolulu, which is Foster's Garden, which is impressive considering that it's in the middle of downtown Honolulu. They got
In a 1/4 mile, turn left onto Kokonani Street.
some massive trees in there from like Africa and stuff. And then the other one is Wahiawa Botanical Garden, which is up towards the North Shore in the town of Wahiawa. So that's Wahiawa Botanical Gardens. So you can see
Take the next left onto Kokonani Street.
You can see the sign coming up here. It says Koko Crater Botanical Garden. So it's actually inside the volcanic crater.
In a 1/4 mile, you will arrive at your destination.
It's Hawaii Kai Golf Course on the right. Directly in front of us here is a horse stables. you can go in. It's open to the public. You might be able to ride some horses in there. So we'll hit done. And then go back to the screen for the app. And if I hit play, it's not going to work. So I hit previous, and then next, and then play.
Our third stop is Koko Crater Botanical Garden. You can tell by the blue signs with the white letters that this park is managed by the city and county of Honolulu. This is one of 4 botanical gardens that are managed by the city, and one of 2 botanical gardens that are off limits to tour companies and commercial activities. As you get out of your car and walk into the park, you'll probably notice the birds chirping. My favorite is the very talkative white-rumped shama from India. You'll want to walk over to the sign at the entrance of the park just before the plumeria trees to read more about this park and to see the trail map. The trail makes a loop, so you can do the whole loop, or you can go as far as you like and then turn around. You'll want to take some water with you as this place is pretty hot and dry. There are some very interesting plants here from around the world, such as Africa and the U.S. Southwest Desert region. If you stay to the right when the trail forks, there are some very interesting cactus displays. At certain times of the year, the entrance of the park is full of plumeria flowers. As you walk slowly and look at the ground, you'll notice that the sand sparkles. Look for some of the lava rocks that have small green crystals embedded in the pores of the lava rocks. These crystals are olivine. Some of you might recognize these as the gemstone peridot. They are formed in the upper mantle of the earth as much as 200 miles below the crust and are transported to the surface by the volcano. As you walk through the botanical garden enjoying the plants which have labels, the birds do not. Some of the birds that you will see, besides the white-rumped shama, are the red-vented bulbul, myna birds, 2 kinds of doves, the smaller of which is the zebra dove, the other is the spotted dove. If you have a sharp eye, you may also see the Japanese white-eye, which is very small and never stays in one spot for very long. It's green and has a white circle around its eye. You also might hear a bird that has a very loud cry like a peacock or a pterodactyl. This would be the gray francolin. You might see them running on the ground like a quail. You also might see a mongoose. Enjoy the trail. Our next stops will be Makapu'u for the Lighthouse Trail in Makapu'u Beach.
All right. So yeah, you could do the hike in here. It makes a full loop. I recommend that if you don't want to do the full loop, that you do at least the path to the right to the cactus garden. It's really nice. Kind of similar to the cactus garden that they have at the college that we passed, Kapiolani Community College, right there in that same area where they do the farmers market. There's a cactus garden there as well. But yeah, this is really cool. It's really cool to find the green gemstone that it talked about, olivine, also known as peridot. So I'll show you guys that. You'll definitely want to take some water with you here, and a hat to keep the sun off of you, sunblock. Maybe you might want to not, I mean, you can do the trail in flip-flops, but it would be better in tennis shoes. So yeah, all right, let's check it out. So you want to stop at the sign here, check it out. There are trail maps inside the box. When you're done with the map, you can put it back in for the next person to use. So here's the map. I've got a lot of glare right now, so it's hard for me to see. But yeah, so there's the map. So starting here at the entrance, this is where we are here, and then you go up a little ways and it kind of splits into 2 ways. You can go to the left and go around, or you can go to the right and go around. So if you stick to the right, that'll take you to the cactus garden, which is here. So you can see that just takes you part of the way. Usually by the time you make it to the cactus garden, you're like, okay, that's enough, let's turn back. Some of the really interesting African trees over on this side. So here's a picture of the crater. And that's also the olivine rock with the little green crystals in it. So it's lava rock, and then inside the lava rock is those little green crystals. So here we go. And then also here at the beginning of the trail, there's a whole bunch of these plumeria flowers. Sometimes, certain times of the year, you can come in here and there are so many plumeria flowers on here, it's crazy. And they come in different colors. This is kind of the most common color, the white with the yellow, but there's also pinks and reds and orange. Oh yeah, this one is chock full. Oh, this one's got so much in it that the crystals are actually coming out. They're actually falling out of the rock, and you can actually pick them up. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. Can you guys see the crystals in there? So that's olivine. So that stuff comes up from about 200 miles below the surface. Kind of like how diamonds come up from the center of the earth. So that's olivine. So that mineral, when it's in a really good form, is the gemstone known as peridot. So you might see that made into like earrings and stuff. So we're going to continue up the road towards the cactus garden. We'll check out the plumerias along the way and put my prescription sunglasses on so I can spot the birds. So, bougainvillea, which comes in many different colors. There's pink, orange, purple. Ooh! Okay, that's exciting. That is a Pacific golden plover, which migrates and would normally, what is this? This is the beginning of August. They leave in the spring around March and April is when they fly to Alaska to nest, and then they come back about August or September, and this guy is back already. I'm from South Texas, where we have a bird that is a cousin to this bird, known as a killdeer or a kildee. He's in the shadows there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a seabird, kind of a seabird. So this crater is hot and dry. So there he goes. Really unexpected to see him in here, and he's still got his nesting colors, the light color. Before they fly up north, they pig out on the insects and stuff, and the fat content of eating so much actually changes the color, and the breast of the bird turns solid black. You notice, I don't know if you guys could see that well enough, but there his chest was white with a couple of black spots. Can you see the plumerias here? Look at that. Wow, this is so pretty. So this is the split. So if you go to the right, that takes you to the African plants. And I mean, if you go to the left, that goes to the African plants. And if you go to the right, that'll take you to the cactus garden. Huh. Welcome back. That's a long flight from Alaska, non-stop. There is no place to land. So he's probably in here looking for some bugs to fatten back up again after that long flight. So you see the thorns on this thing here? This is from the kiave tree. And this is one of the reasons why you might want to wear regular tennis shoes on this trail instead of flip-flops. Because these thorns, some of them will go right through your flip-flops into your foot. So the kiave tree, so this is one here. I don't know if they're different or exactly the same, but they're similar to the trees that we have in Texas that we call mesquite. And we use that as firewood for barbecue. I think they use it here in Hawaii for what they call huli huli chicken. Ouch! Yep, see this is what will happen. See that? Went right through my flip-flop into my foot. Yeah. Oh, you see it? Can you see it poking out there? You see it poking out? Ah. So, yep. So, I heard a story that the locals, the Hawaiians, say that the Christian missionaries brought these trees here to get the Hawaiians to wear shoes, because I guess they would walk around barefooted, and they wanted to civilize the savages and have them dress more appropriately. Part of that being shoes. And so they brought the trees here so that these things will convince them to wear shoes. Actually, I think the trees were probably brought here, probably the seeds were on the cattle that were brought here by the Portuguese. The Portuguese cowboys came and taught the Hawaiians how to raise cattle as an alternate food source. And so I would imagine that the seeds were probably in the fur of the cattle, and it got spread and then grew. Yeah, there's a lot of plants and trees here now that weren't here just over 100 years ago. And so the Hawaiians are really against invasive species. They would like to remove all of the plants that are here now that were not originally here when the Hawaiians came here between about 300 and 800 AD. Oh, we're getting close to the cactus garden. Over. So we're at the beginning of the cactus garden, America's section. So this is a giant yucca. You see the flowers? So the plants have signs to tell you, where's it at? Sign used to be right here. I guess this has fallen on it or something. But yeah, so this is a giant yucca. Golden barrel cactus. Cool thing about these is that in this pattern on the top here, you can see the spiral of the like Fibonacci sequence. See that? That's pretty cool. And see the yellow flower bloom. And then up there is the very top where the hikers go from the other side. Agave. That's what they use to make tequila. This area here of the cactus garden is also where I normally see the gray francolins, the birds that the app was telling you about, that has that shrieking call that sounds like a pterodactyl. They run on the ground like a quail. So the trail continues on, makes a big loop around, but I'm gonna head back to the car. Just give you guys a taste of this. I don't want to get all hot and sweaty. Yeah, don't forget your deodorant and baby powder. Ooh. There he is in the tree. Alright guys, you see this little white flower here. There's a Hawaiian story about this flower. The name of the flower, or the name of the plant actually, is Naupaka. And this is a story that I tell on my tours. It's a Hawaii love story about two people who were separated and the flower was torn in half. I guess I'll save the story for my tour. You gotta take the tour to hear the story. When I tell the story, the girls just melt because it's a love story. Yeah. Trying to get him to react. Do something. Welcome back, dude. All right, all hot and sweaty now. So next,
For our next stop, we'll be turning right into Kaiwi Scenic Shoreline Parking Area for the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail.
yeah, from here on, I think I stopped or I've allowed you to see the text letting you know about what's coming up instead of only the automatic. So next again, so this is our next stop, the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail. So we'll hit directions to pull up the GPS. There it is. And hit start. There we go.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Kealaho Street.
So the next stop is that ridge line there. That's the trail for the Makapu'u Lighthouse, which is on the other side.
Take the next right onto Kealaho Street. Continue on
So when the parking lot here gets full,
1,000 feet, you will arrive at your destination.
people park along the highway, especially on the opposite side of the road there.
You've arrived.
Alright. So yeah, there's the trailhead. There are signs there that you should read before you start up. So I'm gonna park and then head on up. Make sure you do park in a legit parking spot so that you don't get a ticket. Done on the GPS. Let's go back to the screen for the app to hear the narration. Play. Let's go back and forward again and play.
This area is the Kaiwi Scenic Shoreline. Notice that the signs here are brown with yellow letters. The signs in the state parks in Hawaii use this color scheme and commercial activities are not allowed. This means that it would be against the law for tour companies to bring you to any of the state parks. This is an easy trail. It's basically the access road to the lighthouse, and after decades of the road falling apart, it was recently repaved. Be sure to bring water. Start at the trailhead at the end of the parking lot. Take a moment to read the signs at the trailhead. From here the trail goes up the road and leads you to the top of the hill. The lighthouse is at the end of the trail at the top. There is another dirt trail that leads down to Allen Davis Beach and a swimming spot that some call Queen's Bath. The Lighthouse Trail is also a great place to spot whales during whale season, which runs from December to April. Head up the road toward a rock formation that sticks up like a chimney. This is Pele's chair. Madame Pele is the volcano goddess that is responsible for forming the islands. Since the islands are formed from west to east, and this is the most eastern point of the island, this was the last part of this island to be formed. You'll notice that the rocks still look more like fresh black lava than you'll find on the rest of the island where they've been more weathered. Once Madame Pele was done forming this island, Pele's chair is where she sat staring out at the open ocean, before making the leap across to form the other islands such as Molokai and Maui. In this area are some new informational signs put up by the state. I found some errors on them, so I don't know if they will have corrected them by the time you take this tour. From this trail you can see the islands of Molokai, Lanai, and Maui. They made a common mistake on the sign of labeling the most northerly part of Molokai as East Maui. Molokai is seen as two hills, a low flat one on the right and a higher one on the left. Maui is the two peaks behind the lower flat portion of Molokai on the right. And then to the right of that is the island of Lanai. Follow the bend to the left and further up the hill toward the lighthouse. There is another set of signs that tell about the whales that you can see from here. At this point there is a trail that leads down to the tide pools. It is a very tricky trail with loose gravely sharp lava rock, and it's steep so you'll slide a bit. It leads down to the tide pools. Many people have been injured here or swept away by the waves. Continue up the hill toward the lighthouse. Eventually you reach the top where there is a memorial to some pilots that crashed here, and then there is the railing of the lookout which gives spectacular views. You'll notice a chalky-looking island shaped like a turkey leg. This is Rabbit Island. Further in the distance is a peninsula that resembles the snout of a crocodile. This is Makapu'u Point and is part of the Marine Corps base. Recent laws pushed by the residents of Kailua and Waimanalo prevent tour companies from stopping at any of the beaches from here at Makapu'u, where the lighthouse is, through Waimanalo and Kailua to where the Marine Corps base is. Individuals can go there on their own, just not with a tour company. Our next stop is Makapu'u Beach.
All right, so that was a lot of information, but you can bring your phone with you, and the text is there for you to read again as you go along. And now I'm going to get ready to walk the trail. Tells you all about the construction of the lighthouse. Alright. A lot of information here. Prohibited motorized vehicles, alcoholic beverages, commercial activities, so that means no tour companies can come here. What some tour companies do is they park along the edge of the road out there and let you out and then wait for you so that they're not technically inside the park. But that would still be against the law because you brought the customers here. Plus, the place where they park out there is no parking anyway on the right side of the road. So no commercial activities, no tour companies are allowed to come here. If you're paying someone to bring you here, that is illegal. Open fires, camping, golfing. Okay. Ooh, native plants. Sweet potato farming, cattle ranching. Alan Davis. The ranch was destroyed by the tsunami of 1946 when large waves swept over the coastal plain. The Davis family moved away after the tsunami, but this area is still called Alan Davis Beach by some. No drones. So this path here can take you down to Alan Davis Beach. That's Paley's chair. Stack over there looks like a chimney. So they've just resurfaced this road recently. It used to be crumbling apart, and so yeah, looks good, makes it a lot easier. Yeah, so you can just see Diamond Head behind Koko Crater there, and then Koko Head, Alan Davis Beach, Sandy Beach. Sandalwood. In the 1820s, sandalwood was being harvested for trade with China. So the see, there was a mistake on here. The 1946. So the farmers began abandoning ranch was established in 1932 and lasted until the tsunami of 1946. The ranch raised cattle and horses and consisted of 6 ranch houses before being destroyed by the massive tsunami that hit the islands on April 1st of 1946. The multiple waves associated with the hurricane. Which is it? Is it a hurricane or a tsunami? The multiple waves associated with the tsunami removed the sand along the shoreline and exposed the underlying rocky lava. So yeah, it's a little mistake there where they switched the wording between tsunami and hurricane. Those are not the same. I pointed this mistake out to them about 2 or 3 years ago. And of course they're not going to pay to replace the sign to fix the mistake. So here you can just barely see the outline of the island of Molokai. So that's Molokai there. To the right would be Lanai, and then Molokai, where it slopes down to the right. On a clear day you can see Maui behind that. So there's a mistake on this sign here. This is where we are, the Makapu'u Trail. There's the lighthouse there. And the mistake on this sign is the labeling of the mountains, or the islands that you can see from here. Right there you can see West Molokai. Behind that to the left would be East Molokai. And then Molokai, where it runs down to the right, behind that you can see the islands of Maui on a really clear day, and then even on not too bad of a day you can see the island of Lanai right there. So they have it mislabeled on the sign here. So Lanai, that's correct. Molokai, that's correct. This is West Molokai. This part here that they have labeled as West Maui is actually East Molokai. Maui is the part sticking up behind West Molokai. So you have West Molokai, and then you have that cloud layer there, and then you have that peak sticking up there. This is going to be Haleakala, which is the tallest mountain on Maui, which is 10,000 feet. So you got Haleakala, and then on a clear day you can see two humps there. There will be the big hump of Haleakala, and then the little hump here, which is West Maui, where Ka'anapali and the hotels are. So this is East Molokai, not West Maui. This is West Molokai, and then Maui is behind West Molokai, and then this is Lanai, the Pineapple Island. I pointed this out when they put the sign up here about 2 or 3 years ago. I emailed DLNR and sent them Google Maps and everything to show them that this is incorrect, but of course they haven't corrected it. Whew. So there's Diamond Head way over there. That's Koko Crater, Koko Head. That's the end of the trail up there. So where the lighthouse is, down and to the right from that, you can't see it quite yet. But the sign here is telling you about the humpback whales in the wintertime, springtime. You can see the humpback whales here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a sailboat right out there. And then you see these guys walking down here. This is the trail that leads down to the tide pools, which are very dangerous. I mean, it's a really cool thing, but the waves come up into the tide pools. There's also a flat area down there that has like blowholes, where the water comes under that shelf and then shoots up through the holes. And that means that there are caves in there, and so people who get swept off the rocks can get pushed into those caves, and then they never find their bodies. So I have a Facebook page dedicated to so here's the trail down to the tide pools. I have a Facebook page dedicated to all of the accidents, drownings, and people falling off of trails and stuff like that. It's called Hazardous Hawaii. So anytime that there's something in the news where somebody is hurt or killed, drowning, snorkeling, surfing, whatever, I post those there. So you can check it out. It's meant to let people know that, you know, Hawaii is a very beautiful place, but it's also very dangerous. To look out for these things. So you can see the tide pools right down there. You can see there are people swimming in the tide pools. You can see where the water is running back into the ocean on the right there. It's not so bad today, but yeah, you got to be very careful about things like this. There's Molokai. Here's the plaque about the Navy pilots that crashed here. Staying at the lighthouse for the air traffic control tower at Naval Air Station Barbers Point during a big rainstorm when they were out patrolling at night. Alright, here's the lighthouse. tour companies are not allowed to stop at any of these beaches. Beyond that, there is Lanai Bay, where there are no beaches. And the clouds are, that's Koko Ridge. And over there is the main island called Chinatown. That is the first beach. So tour companies can stop at between there and beach. And tour companies are allowed to stop at. And so, see the zebra stripes on his neck? So we have two kind of doves. This is the little one, the zebra dove, and then you have the larger one with the spots on his neck. That's the spotted dove. This is the zebra dove. Alright, it's 12 noon, and I just got done walking the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail. So, on the app, we're going to hit next.
Our next stop is Makapu'u Beach. You'll be making a right turn. The entrance to Makapu'u Beach is directly across from the entrance to Sea Life Park. The parking lot is small, but there is more parking in the dirt parking lot.
Alright, and next, and directions. Start.
Head north on Makapu'u Lighthouse Road toward Hawaii 72. In 500 feet, turn right onto Hawaii 72. Next right onto Hawaii 72.
Yeah, sometimes this side of the road over here is just full of cars. People who, when the parking lot is full, they park out there and walk in.
Continue on Hawaii 72 for half a mile.
Over here on the right is a normal stop on our tours. This is Makapu'u Lookout. Makapu'u Lookout. So that's a normal stop on our tours. Surprising, there's actually parking here. There's a parking spot there and another one over there.
You've arrived.
Yay! Alright, so click done on the GPS and back to the app. Here's the text for you to read, or I'm going to reload it, so I'm going to go previous and then next.
Makapu'u Beach is the white sand beach to the right as you're looking at the ocean. If you're leaving your car to head down to the beach, make sure not to leave things like purses and backpacks in view through the car windows. People will smash your windows to take them. This is true of just about every stop on the island. Tours are not allowed to stop here, so it shouldn't be very crowded unless it's the weekend. There is a trail that leads past the restrooms and showers down to the beach. This is a nice sand beach, and unless the surf is big, it is great for wading in the water and body surfing. Don't go too far out past where you can touch bottom with your toes. It's fun to get thrashed around by the waves. Eventually you'll get tired and want to come in to rest. It's great that this beach has showers for you to rinse off before heading on for the rest of your tour.
That's it. All right. So I'm actually not going to stop today. I think I might come back tomorrow. But next.
Our next stop is Kayona Beach Park, where you might see some turtles in the water. This little beach park is very tranquil during the week and very crowded on the weekends when local residents have